Hey, how's it going? How's everyone doing out there? This is Acemon X. Of course, you see Jade right here on the right-hand corner of the screen. If of course flip, because we did the flipperoo thingy. We're gonna do right now the AEW Revolution review. We just barely got out of that event live from the Wintrust Arena in Chicago, Illinois, near downtown. Wintrust Arena is not that far from McCormick Place. I say 2-3 miles from it, maybe closer. Nonetheless, we just got back into our car. Parking was ridiculous. We couldn't find any there. We had no choice but to leave it out where we, in an area where we used to live near Pilsen, and just do an Uber from where we left the car to the arena, and then from the arena to the car. And now we're about to go home. So right now we're gonna get ready to leave. We just had to warm ourselves a little bit because it's ridiculously cold Saturday night, and then within a matter of hours, the weather's gonna pick up to where it's gonna be almost close to 50 degrees on Sunday. Ridiculous, right? Only in Chicago. But nonetheless, let's get started with the AEW Revolution review. Unfortunately, we didn't make it. Well, we only made it half to the first match, which is the
pre-show.
The pre-show match, which involved SCU in the form of Scorpio Sky and Frankie Kazarian against the two members of the Dark Order. I don't recall who they are because
Evil Uno and Stu Grayson.
Oh, okay. So you're more caught on with Dark Order than me. I mean, just by looking at them in masks, it's like I can't even tell who is who. But nonetheless, but yeah, like I said, that match took place at the pre-show for the pay-per-view. Here, I thought it started at 6 o'clock. The event did started, but they started with, I guess, some previews and that match. And we only got to half of the match. We were just walking around to see how the arena was. The arena's not that big, to be honest. It's not like the United Center or Allstate Arena or the Sears Center for that fact. But still, it was a treat to be there for the first time ever. Kind of to make up for All Out, since we generally wanted to go, but then the event was sold out. But I'm glad that was the case, because I would have been pissed off because Jon Moxley was not there at that event that night. So I was glad that everything happens for a reason. The event was sold out. We never got the tickets. We never went. We didn't even saw that show or anything. So, but there's a way that we can watch it if you're interested.
Yes.
But nonetheless, but yeah, we only arrived to halfway of that match. I recall, I think SCU won.
Yes.
Yeah, SCU won. So, I guess people wasn't all that tuned into the match. There were rumors. Let me get started. There were rumors supposedly that they were going to unveil who the leader of the Dark Order was. But that wasn't even the case. There were all these different guys coming out. They had somebody in a dark veil, and unleashed himself. Supposedly it could have been somebody from the Dark Order, and it turned out to be SCU's Christopher Daniels. So that was a nice setup, because everything was almost going in the favor of Dark Order, and tried to twist some screws into SCU, where they're speculating that Christopher Daniels could have been the next member of the Dark Order, and it wasn't the case. Before him, Colt Cabana showed up. Oh wow.
Yeah.
But then I shouldn't put the guy down. I mean, we were really never fans of his. I mean, he's more of a comedic wrestler than anything, but that's our opinion. But still, the man can perform. There's a reason why he's on NWA and we still see him. So, kudos to Cole for making an appearance there. We heard rumors that normally he would be appearing at AEW events backstage, like for Dynamite and things of that nature. But since he came into town, of course, Cole Cabana had to show up. But that was that for that match. And of course, Revolution opened up, and it started with Jake Hager of the Inner Circle, formerly Jack Swagger from WWE, going up against the Natural Dustin Rhodes, formerly Goldust from WWE. The match was okay, and for the record, I mean, we're not fully, full-time critics, giving reviews like how Pro Wrestling Unlimited or Wrestle Talk would do, because we follow them, because they're like, for us, these sources that we watch, and they're always up to par. So my respects to both of those groups, organizations, websites, whatnot, whatever they identify themselves as. But yeah, the match was okay. I liked it, but I knew that this had to be Jake Hager's win for this event, because this is his first match in AEW. He's only been appearing as, the lackey for Chris Jericho, as the muscle man for the Inner Circle. And this one, he had to get a win. He had to get a win over Dustin Rhodes. Jade, what's your opinion about that match?
Well, all I could say is that ever since that cruel, cowardly attack perpetrated by Hager and the rest of the Inner Circle, it looked like Dustin had a chance. But I gotta give hats off to Jake Hager. He was focused. He was driven. He had that. He had the focus. It just worked out. He pretty much found the holes. He seized the right opportunity, and that was why he was victorious earlier tonight.
Yeah, that's right. But also credit goes to Dustin Rhodes for helping Jake Hager get through that dance and to make sure that it was plausible for the audience. Even though the majority of the time everybody was chanting Jericho's bitch, Jericho's bitch, Jericho's bitch, which was kind of funny. And then the entire time I assumed that woman, which I call MILF, I mean, she's not that bad looking. Maybe with all due respect, Jake Hager's wife, I assume, lover, whatever the case may be, obviously was there to help Jake Hager with a win. Kind of a distraction sort of thing. So that was that. Jake Hager won the match. The second match. Do you recall what was the second match?
Yeah, the second match was the grudge match between Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara.
Oh my goodness, that match! I love that match from beginning to end. It needed to be won by Darby Allin, no doubt, because after what Sammy Guevara did to him with the skateboard, it was payback time. And that little son of a had to get what was coming to him. So it had to happen, and by God, it was incredible to watch. It was so incredible to watch. Darby Allin did some really good moves. Sammy Guevara, he impressed the hell out of me with the Spanish Fly, and then before that he did that I guess a 450 splash.
Yes, you can say that.
Somewhat, or I guess it looks more than a 450 splash to me. But incredible athleticism from Sammy Guevara. So my hat's off to both those guys for putting on one heck of a match. I love it. I love that match. Jade, your thoughts?
It was truly an incredible match, and I agree with you. I gotta give it to both Sammy Guevara. First off, Sammy, because even though he may be a charter member of the Inner Circle, but he brings that he brings that focus, he brings that tenacity. But it was Darby's night tonight because he pretty much brought a lot more of himself after what he endured after the Cowley attack done to him by Sammy and by the rest of the Inner Circle. It was nice to see that that Sammy got his receipt by Darby earlier tonight.
Yeah, because the way Darby Allin started that match before the bell rung, I think they had a good interaction on the outside before the bell rung. So that was kind of like a half and half, but I think it went more into Darby Allin's favor since he, lawn darted himself at Sammy Guevara, in between the ropes and the side of the post towards him. My God, incredible. I love that match, bottom line. So if we would have gave it stars, we'll get to that at the very end once we speak our minds on all of the matches. So next match after that,
the Elite Clash of Tag Teams.
The Elite versus the Elite
for the AEW Tag Team titles.
Yeah, Hangman Adam Page with his cowboy shit, and Kenny Omega going up against Young Bucks. The brothers of Matt and Nick Jackson of Young Bucks. One of the most decorated, athletic tag teams of all time. They're the ones who brought tag team wrestling back into the fold for the longest time, ever since the good old days of when we first saw them in TNA as the next Hardy Boys, Generation Me.
Yes.
I still remember them, coming out that time. But Young Bucks, they knew what their destiny was. They were going to be so much more to tag team wrestling. And tonight they proved it once again. Stellar performance from the Bucks. Stellar performance from Page and Omega. The Elite rocked the house. And once again, Adam Page, it looks like he wants to break away from the Elite. But those boys, man, those men, they put on one freaking hell of a show like no other. They always keep raising the bar every single time. My God. That's why the fans in Chicago, oh my God, and then the fans on top of that, the way they booed the Young Bucks, my freaking God, come on. What is up with this crowd? But that's how you can tell that we Chicagoans, we wrestling fans in Chicago, we let you know how we're devoted to the sport that we love to watch and how invested we are into watching this product, AEW. And we wish it a lot of success from the bottom of our hearts. Because, when they did All In here, Cody, the Bucks, Omega, Hangman, it was something special. I was fortunate that I was a part of it. Unfortunately, my brother wasn't there. We wanted to go all out. That didn't happen. And now, a couple of years later, numerous years later, Revolution, that was one fantastic pay-per-view. Nonetheless, stellar performance. I would rate it right now. It's definitely probably more than a 6 or a 7 out of 5 if we're going to go to those extremes. Jade, your take on that match?
Well, like you mentioned, you pretty much talk about the Elite, because that's what they are. You talk about the Bucks, you talk about Kenny, you talk about Heyman, and of course, where did the Elite started? Coincidentally, in Japan, because that's where these up-and-coming wrestlers got together, and pretty soon they said, we are the future superstars in pro wrestling. They came together and they took the world by storm little by little. And tonight, earlier tonight, in that match for the tag titles, both teams brought out their best because that's what they know about each other. They bring out the best in each other. It was just that unfortunately, little by little, the friction within the Elite began to manifest. It looks like Hangman Page is the odd man out, but regardless of the internal problems that's manifesting within the Elite, these teams brought out the best in each other. So I would like to say kudos to Hangman and Kenny Omega and the Bucks because they wowed us with that match. From near falls, all the moves, all the innovation in that ring. It's like they really put it. They really brought it upon themselves to give us, the fans, our money's worth. And I say, I'm not saying on behalf of others. I'm saying on behalf of myself. It was a thrill to witness such a match.
It should be time for Hangman Adam Page to be a bona fide superstar. Because I feel already the Bucks, Kenny Omega, they already hit it. They already made it as superstars. They're already established superstars. But I feel that Hangman Adam Page has not got there yet. He's still not escalating to get there. He had a really tough time in Ring of Honor. I mean, in my opinion, he had a really tough time in Ring of Honor for him to blossom as a superstar. But he worked his ass off to get to this point, to be with the guys in the Elite and try to measure up to their standards. And now in AEW, he's getting there. That's why he wants to break away from the pack for him to be a bona fide superstar. Maybe in many fans' eyes, he's already a bona fide superstar, but it's time for him to be world champion, which is his goal from the very start in AEW. I want to see him realize that dream. I really do. Unfortunately, I think he suffered a temporary setback. I don't know what the deal was. And all of that crap with Pac, the bastard, not wanting to do business the right way, did not want to lose to Adam Page. First of all, I think it's bullshit. But, Pac doesn't want to take a backseat to nobody, which is understandable because of all that frustration he suffered in WWE, having to sit at home collecting a check for no damn reason, or for a reason, whatever the case may be. But nonetheless, I want to see Adam Page become a bona fide superstar and be an AEW World Champion. So I would give that a rating right now, like I said, 6 or 7, 8 out of 5. The rating is overrated now, but the performance mattered, and that was a stellar performance. On to the next match, which is
the AEW Women's Championship. Chris Statlander versus the Native Beast, Nyla Rose. And before you go, let me step for the record that I had to step out briefly, but I did catch portions of the match in the monitors in the hallways of the arena. So I am gonna put up just a little bit of a critique, but nonetheless, I'll let my brother handle the rest.
Well, this is my take. There's really not that much for me to critique because, in reality, the crowd kind of went dead in that match, and so did I, because we all had an idea of what the outcome was going to be. Nyla Rose was going to retain that title. She just barely got that title from Rio, and Rio's one of the best female wrestlers I've ever seen. But when you got a powerhouse like Nyla Rose, you can't deny her. She needs to have the belt. So she's got the belt. Now it's a matter of time of who's going to get it. And I don't want to knock off Chris Statlander. Her performance was stellar, nonetheless. She gave it everything she got against Nyla Rose. I'll tell you that right now. If she would have got another shot, maybe within the next 2 or 3 matches, somewhere in those matches, maybe she would get the title. But you got to develop a very good strategy against Nyla Rose after being with her for the first time. You got to know where to pick your spots with her. But at the end, Nyla Rose retained her title. And I don't think I mentioned it, but if I didn't, in the previous match, Bucks, Omega and Page still retain their titles. Still a stellar performance. Nyla Rose still retained their title against Chris Statlander. And the match after that would be Jade.
Before we get to that, I just want to, like I said, I got to explain my little sense. And like I mentioned before, I was in the hallway and I was watching bits of the match, and
I'm sorry about that.
Yes, don't worry about it. It's just a quick little tidbit.
Of course, yeah. You gotta speak your piece.
Yes. I gotta admire Chris Statlander for challenging Nyla Rose, but yes, it.
Actually, she didn't challenge her. She won a #1 contendership match.
Oh, thanks for
what she did do was step up to her in the last episode of Dynamite before Revolution.
Right.
To let her know it's like, hey, I'm ready to take you on, and I'm all about that alien power.
Yes, alien power. That's
her gimmick.
That's Chris Statlander.
Yeah.
But no matter if she came from Area 51 or it was still not enough to dethrone the native beast with all that intensity, with that brawn. She proved why she can be the top of ladder on the women's roster at AEW. Who will challenge Nyla Rose from here on in the next couple of months? Who knows? Okay, now to our next match. Now on to another grudge match, and this one couldn't be as emotional as ever. We're talking about the American Nightmare Cody versus one Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Son of a bitch. Let me state for the record, MJF is the son of a bitch that people love to hate. He is doing his job to make the fans be pissed off at him. And he proved it at Chicago. I still can't get out of my head the two interactions with the fans where this he knocked this one guy his hat off, and of course this other fan, actually he grabbed a beer out of this fan's hand and threw it to this other fan's face. And I was all like, wow. He's instant heat. Hashtag instant heat. And yeah, he's doing his job to be the most hated heel of all. But yeah, I was, at the beginning, I'll be honest, I really wanted Cody to win this match. But then in the middle of the match, when MJF was beating Cody to a bloody pulp, also with the help of Wardlow, if Cody wins the match, then where is all of MJF's credibility going to go? Down the drain? It's like, no. Obviously, the method here is you definitely got to keep beating your instant heel. And that is what Cody has been doing with MJF to make him the most instant, credible heel that AEW has ever had. And they are doing a marvelous job doing it. And in the middle of the match, I had that split sensation, but at the very end, it was nearing to where MJF had that match dominated and he defeated Cody. That was my take on that match. Still, it was one hell of a performance from them two, also involving Arn Anderson, Wardlow, and Cody's wife, Brandy Rhodes. Jade, take.
Well, like I said, this was a grudge match like no other, and
sorry to cut you off, but yeah, after everything that Cody had to endure just to get that match with him.
Yes. I mean, MJF pretty much put the roadblocks on him. MJF said, "You cannot lay a finger on me until Revolution. You have to take 10 lashes. You have to face Wardlow in a steel cage, all just for tonight." And everything was going good from the get-go, but looked like MJF found a strategy. MJF managed to give Cody his best. Everything just went haywire for Cody in the match. And no matter how much more support he had from his coach, the Enforcer, Arn Anderson, and his wife Brandy, it just went south. The moment Cody accidentally kicked his coach right in the face, MJF.
Sorry, which was an accident.
Yes, which was an accident. It was right there where Max seized the opportunity and said, "I will weaken Cody." And despite the fact that, well, as you're about to see if you see the replay or
sorry, you're almost knocking yourself out of the picture.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, I mean I'm just standing for the record.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Nonetheless, Cody gave Max the worst torture they ever had, but at the end, the little bastard overcame. He pretty much passed the test, and that's why he emerged victorious earlier tonight.
And then the following match, if I'm correct, that would be the Bastard Pac, speaking of bastards, and Orange Cassidy. I'm going to be honest about my take on Orange Cassidy. I don't know why they love this guy. I don't know why the fans love this guy, but or why they're on board drinking the Kool-Aid that they've been drinking. I mean, but I got to see the freshly squeezed OC. He's cool. He doesn't do anything flashy. He's like a never-caring type of person, and he's aligned with best friends and such. But it might take fans are going to say, oh, he's been cool from the ghetto. You just don't know. You're probably going to be on board just because you saw the match and all of that. Okay, I'll admit that. I don't know that much about OC except, from when he came in to AEW. But yes, Orange Cassidy always had value. I never seen him in a match. He was just always there with best friends, having his hands in his pocket, doing moves here and there without the use of his arms. But he gave a hell of a performance. I'm amazed. I'm in shock. He gave the hell of a performance of his career. Hopefully I get to see more matches of Orange Cassidy in the nearest future. But I gotta give a kudos to him. Obviously as well, Pac, as much as I hate his character. I hate his character big time. But they had a phenomenal match, no pun intended. They had a phenomenal match. I liked that match from beginning to end. Everybody, and I mean everybody, was on board in that match. Everybody. It was one of those matches that if you want to go back and rewatch it, it would be the match that you would want to rewatch more than just once. That's how good that match was. And that's all I got to say, Jade.
Well, let me start off by saying that ever since his debut in AEW, Pac has pretty much had a chip on his shoulder. His sole goal was to make a name for himself in AEW. He pretty much had roadblocks, of course, as like you mentioned. He had his rivalry with members of the Elite, with Hangman, and then he renewed his rivalry with Kenny Omega. And of course, we've seen them compete in the Iron Man match days before Revolution, in which Kenny managed to win in that match. And it was right after that match where Pac was so irate, so angry, he took his anger on who he thought was a weak link in freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. And Pac pretty much brought his A game. But most importantly, Orange Cassidy brought his A game, especially with the best friends Chucky T and Trent accompanying him. But despite the fact that Orange Cassidy brought out his best, Pac is becoming a seasoned veteran. Little by little, he's honing his craft more and more in this industry known as wrestling. And that was pretty much why Pac defeated Orange Cassidy at Revolution.
Yeah, and I think that match was added in last minute for the card.
Yes.
So here I thought honestly it was going to be a quick match. Not the case. And I'm glad that it wasn't, because we got to see how good Orange Cassidy was hanging with Pac in that match. And they both did a great job. I like that match. It was really, really good. Best performance from Orange Cassidy so far. Like I said, I hope that we get to see more of Orange Cassidy in the ring in the near future. Hopefully with fighting with Pac again, or with whoever comes along his way and wants to get some of the freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy. And I believe that leaves us for the main event.
Yes.
The main event of the AEW World Champion, or Le Champion. Did I say it correctly? Le Champion, Chris Jericho, future WWE Hall of Famer. Indeed, one of the greatest of all time. And I'll admit, I'm not a total Chris Jericho fan, but ever since he started coming out with all these awesome gimmicks of the list of Jericho and all of that, I was on board because it was funny, it was hilarious. You can't deny all of that presentation. It was just awesome. And I think him to add value to AEW, that made AEW legitimate. So nonetheless, we're gonna give our opinion about the match. The match was obviously a lot of back and forth. On some spots, Chris Jericho was dominant. On other spots, John Moxley was dominant. There was a lot of interference with Santana and Ortiz, them getting involved. Jake Hager, a little bit later on in the match, got involved. Then Sammy Guevara got involved at the very end with the title, inducted and to no avail, as well as pretty much they gave it their all from both sides, and all of the guys included, until didn't the ref put him out?
Yes.
Yeah, the ref put him out. The female ref.
Aubrey Edwards was the ascend official for that match.
Say the name again?
Aubrey Edwards.
Aubrey Edwards, thank you. Yeah, Aubrey Edwards. I love a chick in stripes, especially when they're female refs. Y'all have the power. Yeah. But at the very end, like I called it, like I knew it was going to happen because it had to happen. I don't care how many people say, oh, well, Jericho should have a longer longevity with the belt. But this is why I feel there's a pattern. Why it started in Chicago for a reason. And I hope that the pattern in a way continues, but I know that's not going to be the case, because Jericho won it in Chicago at All Out. Chris Jericho won it at All Out against, what did he win against? Hangman Page, yeah. Which I felt that could have been his, to be honest. But you need to have an established superstar, a future Hall of Famer, that can give prestige to that title, which Jericho did, but still, having to ditch his title in a limo? No way. I still remember. But anyway, I felt that it was time for Jericho to leave the title and give it up to John Moxley. It's John Moxley, oh my God. This guy, this guy left angry from the WWE. He went back onto the indie scene, wanted to get involved with any and every single promotion that he can, which he did, until we got to see him in New Japan, AEW. I'm happy for him. I wanted this championship for him as a fan. I really did, and it finally paid off. John Moxley is only going to go way up. His wife, Renee Young, is going to be one happy woman, very happy woman, because John Moxley's got the belt, and it's like, hey, Daddy brought home the bacon, baby. In Mel Gibson's words from Payback. So yeah, I'm proud that Jon Moxley got the belt. Congratulations to him. Hats off to him. Same thing with Chris Jericho and everybody in the inner circle involved. They put on a hell of a presentation. Everybody in the matches tonight, they all put on a hell of a presentation. I loved Revolution. I'm glad that we went. My brother's happy that that he was there. He got to chant as loud as he could. I'm glad I'm glad that you still have a voice. 'Cause, you got church tomorrow.
Yes.
And nonetheless, Revolution is a memory that will live within us, because that's our first time at the Wintrust Arena, having to witness that in the middle of the whole C2E2 visitor pool, because this weekend was crazy, especially for us having to scope out a week ago for the parking. It's like, okay, we had an idea, and then for those plans to go awry, then we had to go for a different option, which was ridiculous, and I hate that I work on Saturdays. If I wasn't working that Saturday, maybe the results would have been a whole lot different. But now I know for future events that would come up on a Saturday, what the options would be because of what happened tonight. Jade, your opinion about this main event that you got to witness? Moxley and Jericho, AEW World Championship.
It couldn't have come at a good time. It's kind of like saying when you're pretty much trying to align the stars, and like you mentioned, once the launch of AEW, Jericho pretty much prided himself as being the poster child for the promotion, which is why he was crowned Le Champion, as he dubbed himself. But his reign lasted as long as it could, and there's a saying in life: all good things must come to an end. It doesn't necessarily mean for Jericho that pretty much his career is over. No, it's pretty much that you have to look at the bigger picture. For a company to move up, sometimes you need a new face. Sometimes you gotta take a different direction, because the stability of a company is dependent upon that. It's necessary, and yes, and I gotta say to Tony Khan, to the Jacksons, to Kenny, all the guys at All Elite Wrestling,
the EVPs.
The EVPs, yes. Yeah, they may,
still crazy that there's more than one EVP.
Yes,
that's the way how their business roll, how their wrestling business roll.
They may be talent, but they also have to do the hard decisions in the office as well. They know that the industry is not a cakewalk. They pretty much say, okay, we gotta do something different from the we gotta be different than well, I might as well say we gotta be different than WWE. No disrespect to WWE either. WWE made it because because of their style. People like their style. I like AEW style. And bottom line is that they pretty much brought it together, and like you mentioned, Jericho had counted on the entire inner circle to ensure that he walked out of the Wintrust Arena still a champion. But Moxley came so driven, so tenacious after that vicious attack that Jericho did with that spike on his eye, and he just incited a beast. But little did we find out that Moxley's eye inexplicably healed, or shall we assume?
I think he played it along really well. He couldn't have unleashed it at a better time.
Yes, and everybody, myself included, we give the best, and yes, we do have a new AEW champion in Jon Moxley, and all I got to say for this event, it was truly a great event. AEW is something unique. It's something different, and that's what makes it the taste of not just wrestling fans here in Chicago. Excuse me. Not just wrestling fans here in. Not wrestling fans here in Chicago. Not wrestling fans here in Illinois. Not wrestling fans in the entire United States. Fans around the world. They like AEW because you got the Elite. You got the Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, the women. You got Chris Statlander, Big Swole, a whole list of different wrestlers that come together and give the fans something unique, something worth talking about that will live on for ages to come. And I just want to say, make the shout out to those watching. For those watching this channel from my crew at the First Baptist Church in Hammond, Indiana. That's just my own personal opinion. Okay, so hopefully you'll take it like that.
Yeah. AEW obviously is something different. We've seen it ever since January 1st of last year with the announcement of a new wrestling company called All Elite Wrestling. And we knew that it was going to be filled with a bunch of guys, a bunch of women that I never heard of, but we get to see a sample of their work when every single person gets their opportunity. And up to this point, I'm not disappointed. I'm not. Just as long as those men and women that are on that roster get their opportunity and get to perform for the fans, for them to give their opinion about someone, whether good or bad, because there's a lot of people that give a lot of mixed reviews, or they are not biased and they just let you know how you feel, no matter how cruel they are or no matter how nice it is. They will let you know, and that's what's in a way what's good and bad about being a wrestling fan, because these fans today are too demanding, but some they're like whatever. But see, that's the thing about this whole thing, is that sometimes I sound judgmental by how a person acts, and it's an immediate reaction from me. It's like, Jesus, just shut up, that type of thing. But on my channel, because of course you people see that I got those old school wrestling clips, people still comment on them to this day. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. You people are the reason why the Aceman Armageddon channel and the Aceman Armageddon brand is still growing to this day. Much love to you people. Stay safe in whatever part of the world you are at watching this. Thank you very much from the both of us. But everybody's gonna have their own opinion, whether you agree with them or not. But that's what I love to hear from everybody that has a mind of their own, and they speak it and they don't hold anything back. That's what's the beauty of course, the free speech, of the First Amendment, right?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. It's been a long time since I've done social studies. Anyway, we all got the right to speak our mind, whether it's right or wrong, whether people love it or people hate it. Because there's always a reaction to something that a person says, and it's up to that person to either be cool and calm about it, or they just let you know with an irate voice or capital letters if you're one of those weekend warriors in front of the computer and you just gotta let somebody know how you feel. But that's the way this world is. Nonetheless, I want AEW to succeed. They have succeeded tonight. One of the best shows I've ever seen. And I hope I get to go to more AEW shows. Because like I mentioned, I was fortunate enough to go all in pre-AEW. We never got to go to All Out because they immediately sold out. But then again, everything happened for a reason. I'm glad that I didn't get to go, because just hearing that Jon Moxley couldn't go to that show, I would have been pissed. I would have been pissed, seriously. And thank God I didn't. Thank God it didn't happen that way. And now it's a year later, AEW Revolution, and my brother didn't know that this event happened when the first announcement came out about Revolution. I saved this as a surprise to him. This was his early Christmas present. And Jade, I hope you had fun tonight.
It was a blast, and yeah, I thank him for buying the tickets, because for the record, I was not in Chicago. I was in Guatemala, Mexico for the holidays, and when I came back, he told me, and I was like, I can't wait, my very first AEW show. And yes, I had a blast, and I shared with him, and it couldn't have. It was great. It was sensational. That's all I got to say. And again, I think those at All Elite Wrestling, and yes, hopefully we can come to more AEW shows when they come back to Chicagoland.
Yeah, I hope we get to go to a Dynamite, even though it's on a Wednesday night. But normally I work on a Wednesday night, so I would have to. If they announce a Dynamite way ahead of time, and I get to check my hours, my sick hours, then maybe we could go to a Dynamite. I hope that is the case. You know, whether it be this year